So Noah talked before about like how I started hearing voices and seemingly mostly just brought on by a lot of stress. But like, how did that progress to like a full blown like religious schizophrenic nightmare? um, I kind of got sucked into like an online cult that started like reprogramming the way that I think and perceive reality, and it was like a multi-year process of me just getting deeper and deeper, and it felt like, yes, all this magical stuff is happening, and I was working to foster that, not realizing that I was actually just kind of losing my mind and going insane.
Some of the ways that I was trained to perceive the world differently or think of things differently that started my kind of heavy mental decline um, was that the universe likes to speak to you through songs or television programs. Like, I was encouraged to interpret personal messages from the universe through songs that get stuck in your head or anything in a TV show or a song on the radio that pops out at you. And was trained to look at uh, all numbers using Tibetan numerology and interpreting meaning in numbers. And then, of course, double numbers and triple numbers, but then also adding all the numbers together to make a single digit. And the specific energies that come with numbers. Like, I couldn't see the number 5 for a long time without perceiving it as meaning to stop, which for me, I was trained to perceive the number 5 as having a very red energy, like a stop sign, and also it being a number of change, and between number 4 being a number of stability and number 6 being the number of balance. So, as you kind of move down that path of being trained to interpret specific meanings directed at you, you start building your own narrative of whatever particularly words stick out to you because of your own psyche, I guess, or like whatever things you pick up on more or notice more. And the more that you look for them, the more they kind of start popping out. And then you start constructing this whole narrative of inflated meaning within your mind. And then I started making kind of like meaning templates, like the way that like seeing the number 5 just automatically my brain interpreted it as meaning stop. And that happened for like a number of things until I was kind of living with such a distorted narrative and reading all these meanings, and then bad things start happening, and it's like, well, you're being punished, and that mindset just completely kind of took over my confidence as a person, became completely destroyed. It's like I've done drugs and felt dependent on drugs at times in my life, and it broke me down worse than that. Like, I was so dependent on these messages from the universe to like guide me to be in the right place at the right time so that my destiny doesn't turn out all wrong. Which is crazy. That's being crazy. And I started to experience what people call channeling. And at first it's nice, but it got really, really not nice. And I felt like I was getting bad advice, which I then questioned. And then that led to like this mental conflict, which is kind of what I'm talking about when I'm arguing with God or whatever, and like end up freaking out, giving myself black eyes and things like that, because it for me it's such a mentally destabilized place to be. Like, it's it's horrible. It's horrible. I enter a different mindset, and my reaction parameters, how I'm able to process information as a person and cope with what is happening to me, become completely shifted. That mindset within me is getting better over time, but like a year ago, year and a half ago, there when stuff like that would happen, I would actually like I would be crying, like rocking back and forth on my bed or on the floor for literally days, stuttering and sobbing to myself, praying for the negative judgments against me to be stopped, that I'm sorry for whatever I did, and I please stop hurting me, basically, over and over, but stuttering that for days and days, like completely not mentally well. So those situations just being completely broken, and my confidence as a person, if if it could be less than zero, then it was less than zero. Like I couldn't even pick myself up off the floor. It's kind of one of the things that got me like using amphetamines regularly. To They allowed me to be more mentally confident in myself, and even though those thoughts would try to creep in a bit, I was able to assert myself, really. And that's why it's a complex thing to try to explain to people that, well, uh, like the mental instability that I'm experiencing isn't because of drugs, and when I would when they would wear off, or when I wouldn't have any or be able to get any, then I would start to go into that decline and just like break down. Like I set my hair on fire a few times, like a couple times like that. Started trying to burn, like I write lyrics and poems and stuff, and I started to try to burn my notebooks and burn my hair. Like I was completely gone. So I mean, it's not great to be like, well, I'm doing this drug every day because it's helping me to function as a person, and like I was able to get a job and just show up at work and behave like a normal human. But it's difficult to try and explain that to people who have their own judgments about what's evil and such. So one of the ways that like my mental illness tries to like rope me back in and like drag me down, kind of, is I'll just like get thoughts or messages like that you have to meditate now, and that your life depends on it, that if you don't meditate you will lose everything in your life that you enjoy, and you will just continue on this horrible downward spiral. And then if I do not immediately comply with that, then I will get like phantom pains, like the feeling of being stabbed somewhere, and just stuff like that, like the feeling of being hit by somebody, or just having like needles shoved in the bottoms of your feet, or like or having feeling a needle shoved in your cheek and shit, like vicious. I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but like we all know that everybody's a human being with feelings, right? Like I don't really appreciate the dehumanization of people that we don't like or who hate us, even, because we're all